CM Punk just committed the most cowardly and disgraceful act in WWE history, and the shocking return of AJ Lee has exposed a web of lies, manipulation, and backstage politics that will make you sick to your stomach. What happened on Monday Night Raw wasn't just wrestling entertainment, it was a calculated assault orchestrated by two of the most vindictive and selfish individuals to ever step foot in a wrestling ring. The brutal sneak attack on Seth Rollins while he was completely defenseless has crossed every line of professional respect, but it gets even more disgusting when you learn that AJ Lee's return was specifically timed to provide distraction and cover for Punk's cowardly ambush. This wasn't coincidence, this was a premeditated conspiracy designed to humiliate and potentially injure one of WWE's hardest-working performers. What makes this attack even more infuriating is that Seth Rollins had his back turned, greeting fans and signing autographs like the professional he's always been, when Punk struck him with what can only be described as a vicious and unprovoked assault. The Chicago native showed his true coward colors by refusing to face Seth man-to-man, instead choosing to attack from behind like the backstabbing snake he's proven himself to be. But here's where this story gets absolutely sickening. AJ Lee's return wasn't the heartwarming comeback WWE is trying to sell you. This was a calculated business decision designed to manipulate fan emotions and provide cover for CM Punk's toxic behavior. The timing of her return, coinciding perfectly with Punk's attack, proves this was all orchestrated from the beginning. The lies WWE has been telling about this entire situation are so extensive that they make government cover UPS look amateur. AJ Lee didn't return because she missed wrestling or wanted to reconnect with fans, she came back because CM Punk demanded it as part of his contract negotiations. Her return was literally bought and paid for to serve Punk's selfish agenda. Here's what WWE doesn't want you to know about CM Punk's state of mind leading up to this attack. The man has been consumed with jealousy and resentment towards Seth Rollins for months. Backstage sources reveal that Punk has been making threatening comments about Seth, claiming he stole the spot that rightfully belonged to him during his absence from WWE. The psychological manipulation tactics being used here are absolutely disgusting. By timing AJ's return to coincide with his cowardly attack, Punk ensured that the focus would be split between celebrating her comeback and condemning his actions. This is textbook abuser behavior, creating confusion and emotional manipulation to avoid accountability. But the most enraging discovery is that CM Punk has been planning this attack for weeks, possibly even months. Security footage that WWE initially tried to bury shows Punk stalking Seth's movements, studying his routines, and clearly plotting the perfect moment to strike. This wasn't a heat-of-the-moment decision, this was premeditated assault. The betrayal of Seth Rollins, who welcomed Punk back to WWE with open arms and professional respect, cannot be understated. Seth went out of his way to publicly support Punk's return, defending him against critics and offering to help him readjust to the WWE environment. This is how Punk repaid that kindness, with a cowardly attack from behind. AJ Lee's involvement in this conspiracy is even more disappointing than Punk's violence. She built her career on being a role model for young women, preaching empowerment and standing up for what's right. Now she's complicit in a cowardly assault that could have ended Seth's career. Her legacy is forever tarnished by this association with Punk's toxic behavior. The medical reports on Seth Rollins' condition are being kept secret by WWE, but leaked information suggests his injuries are far more severe than they're admitting publicly. Sources close to the situation claim that Punk's attack may have caused permanent damage to Seth's neck and spine, potentially ending the career of one of WWE's most dedicated performers. Here's the smoking gun evidence that proves this was all planned. AJ Lee was spotted backstage at 3 different WWE events in the weeks leading up to Raw, despite supposedly being retired from wrestling. She was clearly involved in planning this attack and providing reconnaissance on Seth's schedule and whereabouts. The financial corruption behind this entire storyline is absolutely staggering. CM Punk reportedly negotiated a clause in his return contract that guaranteed AJ Lee would be brought back as part of his deal. WWE literally purchased her return to serve Punk's personal vendetta against Seth Rollins. This isn't wrestling, this is corporate-sponsored revenge. But perhaps the most disgusting aspect of this situation is how it completely undermines every female wrestler currently on the roster. AJ's return, orchestrated as cover for male violence, sends the message that women's wrestling is just a distraction tool to be used when convenient. This sets back women's wrestling by decades. The backstage chaos following this incident was legendary in all the worst ways. Multiple wrestlers had to be physically restrained from confronting CM Punk about his cowardly actions, with several threatening to walk out in protest of WWE's obvious favoritism toward their returning star. The locker room unity that had been building for months was shattered in one night. What makes Punk's attack even more pathetic is that he needed AJ Lee as backup to carry out his plan. The best in the world couldn't even execute a sneak attack without needing his wife to create a distraction. This proves once and for all that CM Punk is nothing but a coward who hides behind others when things get difficult. The manipulation of fan emotions through AJ's return is particularly sickening. WWE knew that fans would be so excited to see her back that they'd overlook or minimize Punk's violent behavior. This is psychological manipulation at its most cynical, using nostalgia and fan loyalty to cover up criminal assault. International wrestling experts are condemning this incident as one of the most unprofessional displays they've ever witnessed. The combination of premeditated violence and emotional manipulation has damaged WWE's reputation globally, with several international partners reconsidering their relationships with the company. The cover-up attempts by WWE officials are becoming more obvious and desperate by the hour. Instead of immediately suspending Punk and launching a full investigation, they're trying to spin this as compelling television and must-see drama. This complete disregard for wrestlers' safety is appalling. But here's where the story gets even more infuriating: this wasn't CM Punk's first backstage incident since returning to WWE. Multiple sources have come forward with stories of his aggressive behavior, verbal confrontations, and obvious mental instability. WWE knew he was a ticking time bomb and did nothing to prevent this attack. The psychological profile emerging of CM Punk paints a picture of someone who cannot handle not being the center of attention. His jealousy towards Seth Rollins' success during his absence has clearly consumed him to the point where he's willing to commit assault to reclaim what he believes is rightfully his. AJ Lee's role as an enabler in this situation is particularly heartbreaking for fans who looked up to her as a strong, independent woman. Instead of standing up to her husband's toxic behavior, she became complicit in it. Her return is now forever linked with cowardice and violence instead of empowerment. The legal implications of this premeditated attack are staggering. Legal experts are suggesting that Punk's actions constitute criminal assault, especially given the evidence of premeditation and planning. The fact that it was broadcast live provides undeniable evidence that could be used in both criminal and civil proceedings. The betrayal of WWE's other performers who have been working tirelessly to build the company during Punk's absence cannot be overstated. These wrestlers sacrificed their bodies and gave everything to maintain WWE's success, only to watch a returning coward get rewarded for violent behavior. Here's the most shocking revelation: WWE management was reportedly aware of Punk's plans to attack Seth but chose not to intervene because they believed it would create compelling television. This means company officials are complicit in what amounts to workplace violence for the sake of entertainment ratings. The medical fraud surrounding Punk's supposed mental health journey during his time away has been exposed as complete fabrication. Instead of getting help for his obvious issues, he spent his time plotting revenge against wrestlers he blamed for his problems. His redemption story was nothing but lies and manipulation. The international wrestling community is boycotting WWE events in protest of their handling of this situation. Major wrestling promotions around the world are refusing to work with WWE as long as they continue to enable and reward Punk's violent behavior. The company's global reputation is being destroyed. But perhaps the most enraging aspect of this entire situation is CM Punk's complete lack of remorse for his actions. Sources report that he was seen laughing and celebrating backstage after the attack, showing zero concern for Seth's well-being or the damage he caused. This sociopathic behavior proves he's completely unfit to be around other performers. The manipulation of AJ Lee into participating in this scheme shows just how toxic Punk's influence has become. She went from being an inspiring role model to an accomplice in workplace violence. Her involvement has destroyed her legacy and credibility with female wrestling fans around the world. The financial damage to WWE from this incident is already becoming apparent. Corporate sponsors are pulling their support, ticket sales for upcoming events are plummeting, and stock prices have dropped significantly as investors lose confidence in the company's ability to maintain a safe workplace. The psychological trauma this incident has caused to other WWE performers cannot be ignored. Multiple wrestlers have sought counseling and legal advice, fearing that they could be the next targets of Punk's unhinged behavior. The workplace environment has become toxic and unsafe. Here's the evidence that proves this was all a setup. Surveillance footage shows AJ Lee positioning herself strategically to block security cameras' view of Punk's approach. She wasn't just providing a distraction, she was actively helping to conceal evidence of the premeditated attack. The corruption extends all the way to WWE's medical staff, who have been ordered to minimize the extent of Seth's injuries in their public reports. Independent medical experts who have reviewed available footage believe Seth's injuries are far more serious than WWE is admitting, potentially including career-threatening spinal damage. The pattern of enabling behavior from WWE management towards CM Punk is now clear and undeniable. Every time he's caused problems, they've covered it up and made excuses. This incident proves they care more about protecting their investment in Punk than ensuring the safety of their other performers. But the most pathetic aspect of this situation is how WWE is trying to turn this criminal assault into a storyline. They're attempting to monetize workplace violence and turn it into entertainment, showing complete disrespect for Seth Rollins and every wrestler who puts their body on the line professionally. The betrayal of longtime WWE fans who believed in the company's commitment to professionalism and safety is complete. This incident has shown that WWE will sacrifice anyone and anything for the sake of ratings and revenue, including the physical safety of their performers. The international media coverage of this incident is devastating for WWE's global reputation. Major news outlets are running stories about the company's toxic culture and inability to control their talent, using this incident as proof of an organization in complete chaos. Former WWE employees are coming forward with stories of Punk's previous incidents of workplace violence and intimidation that were covered up by management. This attack on Seth wasn't an isolated incident, it's part of a pattern of abusive behavior that WWE has been hiding for years. The psychological manipulation tactics used by both Punk and AJ in this situation are straight out of an abuser's handbook, creating confusion through simultaneous positive and negative events, using emotional triggers to control narrative, and targeting victims when they're most vulnerable. These are classic abuse patterns. The medical cover-up surrounding Seth's true condition is potentially criminal. If WWE is hiding the extent of his injuries to protect their storylines and Punk's reputation, they could be liable for fraud and endangering an employee's health. The legal ramifications could be massive. But here's the ultimate insult: CM Punk actually had the audacity to cut a promo after the attack claiming he was standing up for what's right. The man commits a cowardly assault from behind and then tries to justify it as some kind of moral crusade. The level of delusion and arrogance is absolutely staggering. This incident represents the complete moral bankruptcy of modern professional wrestling. When companies are willing to turn workplace violence into entertainment and reward cowards like CM Punk for assault, the entire industry has lost its way. This is a dark day that wrestling fans will remember forever as the moment WWE chose profits over principles and violence over valor.